Imagine a man who dug his own grave, not with a shovel but with his adventurous spirit. Picture him trapped, unable to escape the tight confines of the earth, his fate sealed in the darkness. This isn't a horror tale. It's the real-life story of how a thrilling adventure turned into a chilling nightmare. This is the heart-wrenching story of the Nutty Putty Cave tragedy. Nutty Putty Cave, located near Utah Lake, is a naturally formed underground cave system stretching over 1,400 feet in length. Discovered in 1960, it quickly became a popular spot for spelunkers and adventure enthusiasts. The cave's name comes from the clay-like texture of its walls, which make it a unique but slippery and challenging environment to navigate. Known for its tight, claustrophobic passageways, it attracted both amateur and seasoned cavers alike, all eager to conquer its notorious squeezes like the aptly named Birth Canal and Scout Eater. Despite its popularity, Nutty Putty Cave had a reputation for being perilous. Many cavers had found themselves stuck in its narrow tunnels, but with time and effort, all had been rescued. That was until November 2009, when Jon Jones' experience would take a tragic turn, changing the cave's legacy forever. Jon Edward Jones was a 26-year-old medical student, husband, and father. Actually, Jon Jones was no stranger to caving. Growing up in a family that loved exploring caves, he had spent many childhood weekends venturing into the underground and an experienced caver who had explored several caves in Utah. Jon decided to visit Nutty Putty Cave on the evening of November 24, 2009, with his brother Josh. It was supposed to be a fun, adventurous outing just like many others he had enjoyed before. But this time, things would go terribly wrong. Remarkably, none of them had explored this cave before. They relied solely on a map and stories shared by others. Before diving into their underground adventure, it's crucial to note a few things. Nutty Putty Cave has only one entrance, about 1.8 meters wide, meaning you can't enter and exit through different points. Instead, explorers must navigate passages until they reach an opening or room, where they decide to turn around or continue. This makes it essential to follow well-explored paths to ensure there's enough space to turn back and avoid getting lost. Key areas in the cave include the big room, the maze, and the big slide, which descends at a steep 45-degree angle but is spacious enough for safe navigation. Most cavers stop after the big slide, as the challenges intensify beyond this point. Here, a room branches into two paths: the well-mapped right path, known as Bob's Push or the Birth Canal, and the less explored left path. On the day of the incident, Jon, his brother Josh, and their friends decided to split into pairs and explore different cave sections. Jon, with his confident nature, chose to go with Josh towards Bob's Push. However, the main issue arose when they passed through the big slide room. It's believed Jon intended to go through the Birth Canal but mistakenly entered Ed's Push, a less explored and poorly documented passage due to its complexity. Despite the dangers, Jon continued, thinking he was on the right path. Ed's Push is a challenging 30-foot path with many twists and turns, requiring a special technique to maneuver through its narrow limestone tunnels. Jon eventually reached a dangerous area known as the corkscrew. This area gained notoriety after a previous incident in 2004 involving a 16-year-old named Brock Clark. Unlike Jon Jones, Brock was smaller, standing at just 5 feet 7 inches and weighing 140 pounds, compared to Jon's 6 foot 200-pound frame. Brock became stuck while trying to turn around in the tight corkscrew passage. He ended up wedged in an L-shaped position, and it took the rescue team a grueling 14 hours to finally free him. Despite the risks, Jon pushed on, believing he had achieved something few could. The passage widened briefly before leading to a ledge. Jon knew he couldn't turn back, so he continued forward, hoping to find a space wide enough to turn around. As he approached the ledge, he had to exhale all the air from his lungs to squeeze through a tight spot. Unfortunately, he found no opening and was pulled downward by gravity on the 45-degree slope. Exhausted and unable to turn around, Jon moved forward until he saw what looked like an opening, giving him hope. Thinking it was similar to the Birth Canal's end, he tried to squeeze through, only to find himself stuck. His torso was wedged in the narrow fissure, making it nearly impossible to move. As he tried to push himself up, he realized his arms were pinned in awkward positions, and his situation worsened. Relaxing his muscles only caused his body to slide deeper into the narrowest part of the hole, making it hard for him to breathe. Panicking, Jon called out to Josh for help.
Josh!
Josh crawled towards him, navigating the same obstacles Jon had. When he finally reached Jon, he was horrified by what he saw. Josh said he wrapped Jon's calves with his feet and tried to pull Jon out, but with no success. Despite their efforts, Josh couldn't pull Jon out. Exhausted and realizing the severity of the situation, they decided to call for professional help. After a quick prayer together, Josh promised to return as soon as possible. While Josh went for help, other family members and friends tried to come to Jon's location as close as possible to reach Jon to offer support. As time passed, gravity continued to pull Jon deeper into the crevice, and he began experiencing difficulty breathing due to the pressure on his diaphragm. Every second was a race against time. Susie Mater was the first rescuer to drop everything and rush to the cave. It took about 3 hours for her to arrive after Josh went to get help. Susie was familiar with the cave and the challenging corkscrew passage, so she tied a rope around her ankle as a safety measure. Being 5 feet 3 inches tall also made it easier for her to maneuver through the tight spaces more quickly than Josh. When Susie reached Jon around 12:30 in the morning, she found him surprisingly calm, confident that a professional would be able to help him. Susie noticed Jon had retrograde amnesia, likely from a fall that caused him to hit his head. She tied a rope around his feet and tried to pull him out of the fissure, but the rough passageway caused too much friction, reducing the rope's effectiveness. Despite trying various methods, she only managed to move Jon a few inches before he was pulled back again. Realizing this wasn't working, she decided that a more advanced solution was needed, specifically a pulley system, which had been used successfully in a similar rescue in 2004. As more rescuers arrived, they discussed their options. The journey to Jon, who was 400 feet from the cave entrance, took over an hour for each rescuer. The corkscrew passage made transporting large equipment nearly impossible, and the hard stone of the cave walls made it difficult to install hooks for the pulley system. While the pulley system was being set up, other team members spoke to Jon to keep him calm. By this time, Jon had been upside down for several hours, which started to take a severe toll on his body. The human body is not designed to remain in such a position for long periods. Blood began pooling in his brain, his organs pressed against his lungs, and his ability to breathe became compromised. Prolonged pressure on the brain can lead to hallucinations and memory loss, both of which Jon began experiencing. The rescuers, exhausted but determined, rotated shifts to preserve their energy. Some even got temporarily stuck in the corkscrew passage, causing further delays. Unlike Jon, they were secured by ropes and could eventually free themselves. Unfortunately, Jon didn't have the same security and struggled to breathe in the confined space. The team then decided to use a wired telecom system to allow Jon to speak with his wife Emily. She encouraged him to rest and assured him they were doing everything they could to get him out. By 4 p.m, the pulley system was ready. A team of 8 rescuers worked together to try to pull Jon out. Ryan Schertz, one of the rescuers closest to Jon, attempted to help by pushing his legs. As they pulled, Jon screamed in pain. His legs were completely numb and blood flow had been cut off, leading to nerve damage. They paused every few minutes to let Jon rest, slowly making progress inch by inch. Suddenly, the situation worsened. The narrow passage, just 12 inches high, prevented Jon's feet from moving freely. After spending 19 hours upside down, Jon couldn't bend his legs to facilitate the rescue. The rescuers considered breaking his legs, but the on-site doctors warned that it could lead to shock and possibly cardiac arrest. Ryan tried to bend Jon's legs, but a sudden loud snap occurred. A carabiner failed, striking Ryan in the face and causing him to pass out briefly. When he regained consciousness, he saw blood everywhere. Jon had wedged himself deeper into the crevice. Ryan, injured, had to be taken out for medical attention. His father, Dave, took over but realized that pulling Jon out without him being able to push would be impossible. After several failed attempts, Dave switched with Brandon Koalis, who brought the telecom system back to let Jon speak with Emily again. Jon, now unresponsive, made gurgling sounds, suggesting he might be suffocating. At 11:56 p.m. on November 25th, Jon was pronounced dead. The rescuers had worked tirelessly for over 24 hours trying to save him, but the effort proved futile. Jon had endured an incredible 27 hours in an upside-down position, which far exceeded the usual survival time for such a predicament. His body quickly stiffened, making recovery impossible. Officials decided to seal off the Nutty Putty Cave, leaving Jon to rest there permanently. The cave was ultimately closed to the public, and Jon's body remains inside, a somber reminder of the dangers of caving. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more related videos.